up, buddy?
What's up?
You know, with you, it's interesting because you're not a guy that's always out and about. You like to live your little private life, and I respect that.
Yeah.
And then you come back in, and it's always good to see you. So what have you been doing the last few months?
Man, just getting ready for this kid, dude.
Is that primarily what's been on your mind?
Yeah, I mean that, and getting ready for this. I've been working a lot on this album too that's coming out, and so yeah, just that between those two things. I have only played maybe 7 shows this year, I think, so it's been really light in that sense. But
Is that purposeful because of the kid and because of the new music, or?
well, I think it was just we did. I did a tour last fall that was supposed to happen 2 years ago, and then I was 50. So 54 shows in like 4 months or 5 months. And so it was like when we were done, there was just no plan to tour this spring because it was like we know we had to work on the album, and the kid wasn't in the plan for that. That wasn't part of the deal, I guess.
And I know a lot of people are asking you about the kid, and I will for a second as well. Was this a timeline? Like we were going to have a kid at this point?
No, I mean we had been trying since we got married, so it was like whenever it happens was kind of the plan. So it just happened to be, kind of in the middle of that tour, and so it's kind of ends up being perfect timing in a lot of ways.
I'm going to ask you a few questions about this, and then we'll move from it. But I just have some questions as somebody who, because we're talking about this now in my life. How did she tell you? Have you shared that?
I don't think I've told anybody how she told me.
Did you? Okay, you don't have to if you don't want to. I'm not even going to pressure you to say it. Did she tell you, or did you find out together? How about that?
She told me, yeah.
And your reaction was?
Oh, I cried a lot. Yeah, I was very excited.
Can you remember that moment pretty vividly, or does it kind of black out?
No, I remember it very vividly. It was on the bus. She told me on the bus when it was just me and her on there. I think she had been on a trip with some friends, like a girls' trip type thing. I think they went to Sedona. Is that a place that
sounds fancy?
Yeah.
I don't even know where it is.
Is that
but
a
it
place
sounds fancy.
that people go?
Yes.
Wine? Is there wine there?
Yes.
Maybe.
Is that a wine place?
I don't know.
It's like Redneck Napa, maybe, or something. I'm not sure.
You're asking the wrong guy because we didn't have that in Arkansas.
But they went there, her and some of her friends, and I guess she found out on that trip. Which, if it is a wine place, is really unfortunate because she probably didn't get to do anything after that.
So at what point does that start, that you're going to be a dad, start to creep into your creative process when you're thinking? Because as someone who is writing or thinking about writing and you're coming up with ideas, you are basing a lot of it on your inspirations.
Yeah.
When does that start to creep in?
Well, it really hasn't yet too much because every song that's going to be on this album was written before I found out. So I don't have the dad.
But are you writing now? Have you written any songs?
I haven't.
None.
I'm just kind of waiting. Like I feel like until he's born, it's going to be I feel like that's going to be the moment, There's not many songs you can write about cleaning out your guest room and buying diaper trash cans and stuff,
I think you could do it. If anybody could, though,
That's right.
I think you'd have a way of doing
I'd give
that.
it a shot for sure. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
You mean Diaper Genie?
Yes.
Yes.
Diaper Genie.
Yeah.
Shout out. Sponsor me. These things are not cheap, man. Holy cow.
Luke Combs is here, and so the album comes out June 24th. You've put out 2 songs from this new record, Doing This, and then Tomorrow Me. So is there some sort of strategy as what songs you release first and second from the album, or fast, slow? What happens there?
I think Doing This was, man, we were just kind of, I don't want to say hanging on for dear life, but it's I really loved that song, ever since I wrote it. And, we debuted it on the CMAs last fall, which was really cool to get to do that. But there was no plan yet for an album, for the album at that time that song came out. I mean, we knew it would eventually be on whatever album was going to come out. But it was we had that song, it was done, and we really loved it. And it was well, it's just time to put something new out. And so then that will just be the first song from the album. But when it came out, that was never the plan. And then Tomorrow Me is just a song I just love the way it sounds. A fan had asked me that on Twitter the other day. I don't know if it's going to be called that forever now that somebody else owns it.
Tesla Witter.
Yeah, Tesla or
Twesla.
Twesla, that's it. But yeah, they asked me like, why did you put this song out? And I was like, I don't know. I just like it. It's just I don't know. It's sometimes I think like I did this as a fan too. Was like I always try to like read into what somebody's doing. Like, what were they thinking? Like, what does this mean? And I'm like, sometimes it just doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? And like, not in a bad way, but it's just like I really loved that song and I wanted to put it out.
It's funny you say that. But what's the most fun song that you've ever written and recorded that really had the least depth on purpose? Does that question make sense?
Yeah.
It's fun. It's just for fun. We just were feeling good and we did it.
Yeah.
What is it?
I was probably Loving on You, and it's just like sometimes you're in the writing room and it's like, okay, sometimes you do have this really heavy thing that you're thinking about that you can't stop thinking about that you have to write about. And then sometimes, it's like you get in there and it's like, hey man, let's write a damn hit song today. Like it can be that simple of a conversation. And a lot of times for me, a song like Loving on You, I'm always thinking about, I need something that I feel like is going to be really great for the show, for the live show. Because that's kind of always been my focus is like, I don't want to have, it's like, obviously, I've just put out Doing This and Tomorrow Me, so it's going to sound, probably ridiculous, but I try to not have too many slow songs. But it's like, man, something about a sad song makes me happy, I don't know why.
Same.
Yeah.
When I'm listening to music for myself,
Right.
I always pick slow songs.
Yeah.
Like there are not a lot of upbeat bangers that I'm like, all right, I got some me time. Let me listen to some.
Yeah, let me listen to some. Let me get in my feels to some Beer Never Broke My Heart. You know what I mean?
Luke Combs is here. Being such a prolific songwriter, I wonder when these cases continue to come out where folks are going, all right, this song was written in 1971, and it looks like, this person stole this song. This is happening all the time, and a lot of people go, well, there's only so many chords and so many notes, but endless ideas.
Sure.
How do you protect yourself from that? Because any song you write, almost just mathematically, is going to have similarities to other songs.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that you can really. I mean, in the sense of you just got to write stuff, and if that happens, it happens. I mean, it hasn't happened to me. Which maybe tells you that I don't steal people's stuff. But I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's bound to happen to me at some point. And yeah, I think you are bound to step all over something that somebody else has done, intentionally or not. I mean, it's a tough though, man. That's a tough thing because it's just like, how many songs get put out every day? 20,000 songs every day, I think, get put on, the streaming services. So it's like eventually, I mean, how many songs is that a year? I mean, millions.
Yeah, it's just mathematically.
It's just if there's only 12 notes or something, that you can do. I mean, obviously that's not. There's an endless amount of songs that probably sound really similar to each other.
Well, like I guess by 2002, I wrote a song called "Getting Shoved by Other Dudes," and it goes, "'Cause I hated getting shoved by other dudes." It sounds a lot like "Loving on You." That's all I'll say.
Might see that one in court.
Bully. Yeah, I might have to go.
I'm interested.
Yep, I'm just saying.
You got your first
just
case.
floating
That's
that
true.
out there.
Perfect.
And obviously too, it's whenever a song becomes massive.
Sure.
Because then it's a target, and it's like, oh, we can make a little money off that.
Yeah.
I just, it just feels like you have to be protected. And mine is nothing like yours, but I write comedy songs and jokes, and I have to have insurance. That if I do get sued,
like libel type
stuff.
stuff?
Well, not even libel, but if I do get sued because someone said, hey, you stole a melody from this song, like I have insurance up to a certain point. I would imagine a premium on like your stuff would be crazy.
You know what scares me about it, and maybe saying this is just the worst idea ever because it can be invented now, but me and my guitar player talk all the time about at what point is there just an app
that you can play it into to see if it's been,
and
how
go,
much of it's.
what percentage of this, that terrifies me. Even if it's unintentional, because then you're getting into things where it's like, oh, well, here's some song, that came out in 1980 that was a B-side.
No one's ever heard. It just
something
happened,
that no one's ever heard, and they go, well, It's too close to this thing, even if you've never even heard that song.
But then what I would do is I'd find the
debate.
limit. Like I say, it was 19%. I would steal from the greatest songs 18% purposefully. So I could see. I would find a way
into your
around it.
algorithm,
Yes,
right.
I would actually.
Right. Then there'd be
steal.
some definition of how much.
Then
you
I'd be
could
like,
take
didn't hit the
from
limit.
song.
What are you gonna do?
That's true.
I'd say
That's
sue me,
interesting.
and they couldn't.
And
They couldn't.
Well, Bobby, who was it? Is it Ed Sheeran that is now videos every writing session that he does to have
to
proof?
go. Yeah, look, he said this is us organically coming up with this. It's just fascinating to me.
I have this whole album on video. Not for that reason.
Do you guys watch it sometimes? You and Nicole just sit around and watch it.
I hate
That'd be weird.
like me watching myself makes me absolutely cringe. Like anything. Really.
What about a live? Do you watch your live shows back ever or listen back?
No.
Game tape?
No. It just would cringe me out, I think.
What about posting live performances? Do you post them or do you have somebody else?
I have somebody else that does that if something like that comes up. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's just strange, you know.
I understand. I don't listen to the show, and I'll get some because the Opry will let me post any of my stand-up that I do there, and I'll watch it, and I'll be like, I don't like how I said that word. I look like an idiot. And my wife will be like, that's pretty funny. You can. I'm like, I don't think so. Look, I slur.
But it's like it's not for you. I guess it's not for us to like. You know what I mean? Like
good,
it's like
'cause I don't.
The intention, like we are the only person in the world that can't watch our show and think about it, you know, objectively or whatever.
What's on the goal list for you now? Like, I wonder what drives you at this point to be a better version of yourself.
Sure.
And let's keep personal out of it.
Sure.
Because you have big
From
things
a
there.
music standpoint.
Professionally, what drives you now?
I don't know. I mean, always wanting to write better songs, I think, is the top thing for me. And I think I don't know if you can even do that or what. I mean, but I don't know. I just want to have a long career. I think now at this point is like, you know, I've been doing it for, I don't know, for 5 years now or 4 years now on kind of in an official sense of like having a deal and putting stuff out and playing shows and doing stuff like this. And I would just like to continue to do that, you know, like continue to be in the conversation for like the people at the top of the genre. I think for the next, 10 years or 15 years, I think is something that I would like to do, you know.
Do you order Uber Eats to your house ever, or Uber Eats or like Postmates?
We don't have that.
It doesn't come out that far. Okay. Nothing like that. What about if you're in a city? Do you ever use Uber? Period. Do you ever put your name on an app? I guess.
No, it's like I'm like. It's never. I don't think I've ever had an instance where it's happened where someone's been like. I've had like where all of a sudden the person delivering it recognizes me, but it's not like my stuff was in there. I'll order Uber Eats or something to or Postmates to like a hotel or.
But your name's not. It's not delivering to Luke.
No, it'll just be like you can just put like LC as your name on there or whatever. And,
Guy who wrote "Lovin' on You."
yeah,
Even that.
Yeah.
If you're out, again, I'm going to go a little personal here.
Yeah.
What's your daily drive around car?
I drove a Ford F-250 here today. That's what I kind of.
Are your windows tinted?
The front ones are not.
So do people ever see you and then go, "Holy crap, there's Luke Combs. Let's follow him"?
I don't think it's ever been like where I live. It's like it's a smaller town. It's like an hour from Nashville, so everybody just knows that I live there. You know, I've lived there for 3 years now, and so it's kind of like. I don't want to say they're over it, but they're just kind of over it, you know? Like
What about if you're in
cool.
town and you're at this traffic light?
Yeah, it happens a lot.
And they point like, "Oh my God."
Yeah, it happens all the time. But I just hate the tinted windows thing because I feel like at nighttime I can't really see super well out of
That's
the
probably a better reason to not get the tinted windows if you can't see.
I don't know. It's like it used to bother me a lot. Like it took me a long time to get used to like the fact that people, like I always felt like people were staring at me or something like, and that took me a good, I don't know, it was like up until COVID happened, it really bothered me. And then afterwards, like I've just had 2 years to just like kind of just bathe in it. You know, you just kind of like understand that this is how your life's going to be for a while, or maybe forever. And so I'm just fine with it. Like it doesn't bother me at all anymore.
Your transition has been rapid from dude to really famous dude.
Sure.
I mean, feels like you've been here for 20 years with the success you have, but like you said, it's been 4 years or so. Can you go and just have dinner at a restaurant?
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
Without getting in a corner or like, can you just go in and be like, we'd like to have a table?
Now you have to pick the restaurant. Like you have to the first time I ever hung out with Ed Sheeran was at the Twin Peaks in Brentwood. True story. It's a true story.
Which, by the way, Twin Peaks is a chain. Like
It's like
Hooters.
a Hooters
yes,
type
yes,
thing.
yes.
Well, he had hit me up and was like, "Hey, it's like, let's hang out or whatever." And that's where he told me he was, and I was like, "Okay." So I'm on the way. It's like me and my wife and stuff, and I was like, "Hey, man, just checking that we're going here." He was like, "Yeah, dude, we're here. Come on." So get in there, and it's like all of a sudden, dude, the people start coming up. And he's like, "Dude, I'm really sorry, man. Like, no one ever bothers me here." And I was like, "Dude, you've taken me into the Beehive, dude.
Twin Peaks is your wheelhouse.
This is you. Like, if I took you to a wine bar, people would be," and I'm like, "Dude, no one ever bothers me at this wine bar." But then you showed up, it would be different. Yeah. This is the same thing. Like the only thing that would be worse would be like, "Hey man, do you want to go sit in the stands at a NASCAR race?" He's like, "No one ever bothers me here at the NASCAR race. No one knows who I am at the NASCAR race." Because it's just not his crowd is not at that place.
Were you able to finish a meal, or did you guys have to jump and go somewhere else?
I don't even think we ate. It was like him and his buddies were there, and they had already eaten, and then we ended up going somewhere else. Like I think it was like Thursday Night Football. He calls Derrick Henry One Dread because he doesn't know any.
Yeah.
Like he's like, "Oh, I like the Titans because I like Nashville. Like if I cheer for an American football team, it's the Titans." But he doesn't like know any of the players' names.
And it looks like he only has one dread coming
Yeah,
back
it has
his helmet.
like the big dread coming out. Right.
Yeah. That's funny that he took you to Twin
That's
Peaks.
his favorite player though is Derrick Henry. Yeah.
Whenever you win an award like a Entertainer of the Year award, you get, very few select people get 3, 4, 5, 6 of those, and then you kind of start to get so many of them, and even though you're killing it, people start to go, "Well, he's already had it so many times."
Right.
I feel like now a little bit you've had such success. Like, are you preparing yourself for not actually going down in any way, still going up, but people going, "We've already given Luke all the awards. We have to go somewhere else."
I kind of feel like I'm there a bit already, and I feel like that's made not that I've had a bunch of entertainers. I've only had one, but it's like. It's kind of like it's like the same version of the town that I live in. Is people are like, "Oh yeah, that's, Luke Combs and he's really famous and that's cool." That's, like especially when they see me out. It's like, when it's like, I don't know if I don't have kids yet, but, when you get a kid a toy, they still have their favorite toy and then you get them a new toy and it's like, they love the new toy like crazy and, "Oh my gosh, I love this new toy." And they still have a bunch of other favorite toys, but they're not as excited about them because of the new toy. And not that I feel that way at all, but I think that happens a lot. Look at a guy like Luke Bryan's been around forever. The guy's done everything that you can possibly do, and he's still like insanely famous. It's just you're just at a different. You're almost like you've reached cruising altitude, and you have to keep the plane up there. As opposed to you're not making the climb anymore, which is a whole different thing.
I think the Luke Bryan analogy is great because, he continues to kill it, and people just forget him for stuff.
It's just like he's just insanely killing it all the time.
Your stadiums that you're doing, look at you. There's only a few acts, period, in any genre that can play a stadium.
Yeah.
And, to play 70, 80, 90,000. Like,
Crazy.
that's wild. When these things go on sale, do you go look at tickets on these and click each section, or is it a different animal?
I never have. I've never done that for any show ever. Like I've never gone and been like, "Oh man, how many tickets are we doing?"
You don't even ask.
I'm not like a chart guy. Like I'm not calling like, "How's the song doing on the charts?" Like I don't know. Like I just find if you're playing, I don't know if you're playing for the end result, then it's kind of. You miss the whole game. You know what I mean? Like if you only care about winning.
Did you ever have a time in your career though and I'm sure you did. I guess I'm asking what was the last point where you go, hey, I can't believe there weren't that many people that showed up. Because it's been a while, because when you caught in clubs, they couldn't pack enough people in clubs. You couldn't get a venue that fit you because the timing was always weird. You were growing faster than the shows were happening.
Yeah. The only time I was ever worried about it was our first show of the tour last fall. We were doing 2 nights in Raleigh, and the whole tour had been sold out for 2 years. But it was like, okay, COVID was still going on at that time, really. And it was first show is indoors. We were like one of the first acts in the country to like tour inside, especially on that level. 360 stage for the first time ever, center of the arena. No one on my crew had ever done that before. I had never done that before. And I'm sitting in the green room, and I'm like, you know, I remember Ashley was out on stage, and it's like
McBride?
Yeah. And I kind of popped out, and I was like, ooh. It's like, it's looking a little thin out there. And I was like pretty nervous about it. You know, I was like, I mean, these tickets, people bought these tickets 2 years ago. You know, I don't remember what I was doing 2 years ago. What if they bought the tickets and just forgot that they have them? And now I've got 40 shows that I'm going to do that people don't even remember that they want to go to because it's been 2 years of insanity. And then, of course, when I went out there, it was just absolutely packed. I found out it was some sort of like metal detecting thing or something.
Stupid security. I hate it. Don't you guys? What a waste.
Where they like couldn't get people in fast enough.
They were taking bombs from people. Just let them in.
No, but I was worried about it because you just don't know. No one had toured inside yet. This was the first show of the tour for us. Every show we had done up to that point, in 2 years, had been outside for a few months. And it's like the tickets are 2 years old. So I didn't know, it's not like everyone calls me and goes, hey, man, see you there. It's not like I get 25,000 text messages of like, can't wait to see you tonight. It's like you just don't know. It's sold out, but you don't know if those people are going to show up or not. And I think, scans have been tough for people since it came back. But I think we averaged, I think the worst night we had was like 90% of the people showed up. That was the worst night we had.
Pretty good.
Just pretty good.
Okay, yeah. I'm gonna end you with this, and it's something. And again, the scales are way different. But I'm doing shows here in town, like comedy shows and like a motivational thing. And there's a story that I'm going to tell that I've never told before, and I struggle with getting emotional telling it. Mm-hmm. I've never told it without crying.
Okay.
And so my concern is, I'm going to get up in a show, and I'm going to have such emotion that and that's okay. I'm great with it. I'll have emotion, be fine. That it'll be a struggle. Have there ever been songs, or do you they get emotional, but you play them so many times it starts to not be as emotional? Has that ever happened with you, where something triggers you and you get emotional based on a memory?
Yeah, like for me, it's more like it's especially during like even though I'm leaving, and not that song is like it doesn't have like an insanely personal thing that resonates for me, but there's always somebody in like the front row that is just like devastated, like, and they're right there, and it's like you're looking at them, and it's like there's like people holding them, and they're like they can't even like look at the stage kind of thing, and like that's what I struggle with the most is when it hits somebody else in that way, and I'm like seeing that. I've definitely gotten that way before. This one's for you has gotten me a bunch of times because I play that one by myself, acoustic, especially at like milestone type shows, like we did Red Rocks on Mother's Day. It was like our first time playing there. It was sold out. My mom was there, my mother-in-law was there, and it's like, a whole like family, everybody wants to come to the Red Rocks thing. It's such a unique thing. And my first stadium show was in the town that I went to college in, and so there are just these milestone moments, and that song always kind of hits that for me, because that's the song that really, in a lot of ways for me, sums up, like, I had just moved to Nashville when I wrote it, and it was like, I was kind of thanking everybody for, like, helping me get to that point, and so that one strikes me a lot, too.
Well, the story I tell is the first time I met you. And I start crying. So I'm going to do it, and it's going to be amazing. Right, guys?
Good luck,
Yeah,
man.
I'm going to be like, he just I'm getting choked up now. All right, listen, Luke Combs is here. He's going to come back. We won't see you for a bit, but the new album coming out in a couple months, April, May, June. Yeah, 2 months.
Yeah.
2 months. Luke will be back in a couple months. But, dude, thanks for the new song. Good luck. Go to lukecombs.com, and if there are any tickets anywhere, that's where you go and find them. Other than that, killing it. Love to see you when you come around,
Likewise.
and I will
Yes.
see you soon,
Thank
my
y'all.
friend.
Appreciate it.
All right, there he is.
Thank
Luke
you.
Combs.
It's a